We keep moving right along, and now it's number 7, number 8, in the 10 things that you can learn from the Donald Trump deal. The things that you can learn from the Donald Trump phenomenon that will help you in terms of your life and your business. Again, so we can increase the influence we have, the influence for good, the impact on other people. And then, of course, as we do that and do it well and serve others well, that's going to increase our income. And that's a lot of what business is about, is how do we do enough good things that we make a good living. So that's the challenge. Now, lessons 7 and 8 are very, very vital. Now, 7 oftentimes is, as I said, 5 was in the middle. 7 is kind of supposedly the number, the perfect number. Used a lot. 7, that's the number. Do number 7. Now, the one I chose for number 7 is the one that most typifies Donald Trump. Okay? He's written a number of books. However, the book that made him famous is this little one right here. The Art of the Deal. Written actually almost 30 years ago when he was a much younger man. Now, the story of The Art of the Deal is where you begin, because that is the book that made him famous in many ways. It also gave him the reputation of being quite ruthless. But to better understand Donald Trump he's very clear about this. He loves to make a deal. He lives to make the deal. In fact, it's not the money, it's the deal. He is a man, he saw it as a young man. He is a person who, as he saw what happens, discovered what he wanted to do. As you listen to him, he's always talking in terms of the deal. Now, I have a New York City daughter, and she has no relationship and not a great deal of sympathy in many ways, though she did write a very classic book that talked about Donald Trump that helped me understand that. Her name is Megan, and you can find out more about her when she wrote a book called How to Be Useful, and she talked about Donald Trump as one of the persons you can learn from in how to be useful. Now, The Art of the Deal was his, you might say, his manifesto. People began to discover him. And now I'm oftentimes telling people, particularly young people, write your first book before you're 35. Start making a name for yourself when you're still young. Do that. It doesn't even have to be a good book. That's why I actually have a class and a course on how to start to write your first book using your iPhone. That's right. That's possible. Do a book. It will set you on thinking clearly about what you want to say, what you want to believe, and what you want to do. So he wrote a book called The Art of the Deal, and he says he lives for the deal. And as one person once said in regard to a present situation, well, sometimes a bad deal is better than no deal at all, to which Donald Trump would say, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You never do a bad deal. Don't do it. You walk away from it. If that deal is going to cost you more than what you gain, it's no deal. Now, does that help you better understand where he comes from and what you can learn from how he works and what he does? And what you then need to do is decide, how do you view life? You know, everything. When I seek a job, it's a deal. When I've got a job, we're doing a deal. My New York City daughter always said, what's the deal? Or, here's the deal. And that's how she views things. Things are deals. Business is a transaction. It's a deal between a buyer and a seller. It's a transaction, it's a deal between somebody who has something and somebody who wants what they have. Life is deal making. Now, you may not believe that, you may not like that, you may not feel very strongly about that, maybe you have other views of that, but that is important to deal with. Life is a deal. And how do you do deals? The art of the deal. Thinking of that as, how can I do without it? Now, it's best to get a good deal which benefits all. It's good to get a better deal, which maybe you benefited more than they did, but it was still a good deal. But you never do a deal in which you do not get at least as good a deal as the other person. You never get the bottom end or the lesser end of the deal, according to Donald Trump. We just don't do that. Now, what do you think about that? What do you think about deal making and how that will work? Are you good at deal making? Are you poor at deal making? Is negotiation a part of who you are, and should you get better at that? Or should you have other people who do it for you? Think about that. The art of negotiation, the art of deal making. How is that going to fit in to the way you do your life and business, and the way you view life and business, and how you perform? The art of the deal. Think about that. Now, with that in mind, let's move on to number 8. Again, one of Trump's book says, think big. What do you think about thinking big? The Trump Tower was part of his signature, and it had to be big. Donald Trump says, I don't do small things. They don't reach me. I always want to do big things. Now, I would come back to him and say, little things mean a lot. And he might smile about that, and he certainly understands the power of small details. But that's not who he is. Donald is somebody who wants to do big things. They have to be big. They have to be oversized. Like him, they have to be kind of, bigger than life. Now, what do you think about that? You may not like that. That may put you off. You may find that arrogant or ostentatious or something that offends you. Again, that would be where Donald Trump would say, well, I guess I'm not for you, because I'm not going to change to please you. I'm going to think big, and I'll work with the people who think big too. I really don't have much to do with those who think little. That's not who I am. One guy tells about the fact that he got Donald Trump to speak at a meeting one time, and he asked him to speak, but Donald Trump would not speak until he got the fee he wanted, and he said, the money's not the issue. But I want to make sure that if I speak to an audience in your business, that it's a big deal. No little deal. It's got to be a big deal. Think big. Where are you in terms of understanding the kinds of life and business that you do? That means Donald Trump takes big risks. You may not know it, but he has gone through bankruptcy, and he has lost and been broke as he can be. Even after his great success, everything went bad in many ways, and he was lucky to survive. But that's what he does. He loses big, and he wins big. Think big. That's him. Now, who are you when it comes to your dreams and your visions? And related to that is a very interesting story. It's not that he thinks big, but he wants to make big things. There's a story that he was invited to get involved in an oil deal where there could be a whole lot of money made. And these people were putting together this exploration was going to be a big, big deal. However, Donald Trump decided to do what he oftentimes says is his signature line. Thank you very much for thinking of me, but I'm going to pass on that. Thank you very much for thinking I would be worthy to work with you, but I don't think that's for me right now. He said, he thought about that, and he said, oil. Oil is dirty, and it's messy, and it's from the ground. And I can't do anything with it. You just dig oil. You just drill oil. You just pump oil. He said, that's not what I want to do. I want to make big things. And so he said, I'm going to pass on the oil deal. Well, it turned out that that entire operation turned out to be a massive failure in which he would have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. But it wasn't that he was smart enough to not deal in that deal. It's that he was smart enough to know that's not the kind of deal that I want to do, because I like not to just make money with things. I want to make big things. Let me ask you this question. What do you want to make? You were made to create and make things, not just do things and message things and market things. What do you want to make? Because you are called to be a maker. Again, just another lesson that we can learn from what is going on with the Trump phenomenon.